Welcome to my fourth video, in which I'm going to explain the basic steps on how to elaborate the sketch you've just made on the computer. For this, we're going to scan the sketch or take a picture of it and then import it into our favorite image processing program. Personally, I'm using Photoshop CS4, but you can just as well use any decent image processing software, such as, for example, GIMP, which is open source and completely free. So any decent program will do. Again, don't worry, it will be very easy and the results will be amazing. Here's the photo of my sketch imported in Photoshop. The first thing that I'm going to do is trim the image to a square. This isn't necessary, of course, and you can just as well leave a rectangular area to add all technical data regarding the sketch, for example, as you like. To trim, I go to Image and Canvas Size, and then adjust the height of the image. There. Now, with the arrow tool, I put the sketch straight in the middle of the area. Next, we're going to do a very important step, inverting the image, so that the background becomes dark instead of white, and the stars become white instead of black. Go to Image, Adjustments, and then click on Invert. I'd like to repeat that you can find exactly the same tools in every good image processing software. So you can just as well use GIMP or CorelDRAW or any other decent program. As you can see, the result isn't exactly black and white because even a white sheet of paper can contain a surprising amount of color when you take a picture of it. So we're going to remove this color by going to Image, Adjustments and Hue Saturation. Then slide the saturation bar to the left until all color's gone. You may feel tempted to transform the entire image into a black and white only image, but don't, because probably you'll want to add a lot of color later on. What I'm going to explain to you now is vitally important, so please pay attention. You must work as much as you can with different layers. For everything that we're going to add, we're going to create a different layer. This way we can always change the items on a specific layer and leave the rest of the sketch intact. So now I'm going to create a new layer by going to Layer, New and Layer. There it is. On this layer I'm going to draw the black mask around the sketch, like if you're really looking into a telescope. So take the Circle Select tool, click on the center of the image and at the same time hold the Alt and Shift keys. Like this, we're going to select a perfect circle centered around the point where you clicked. Drag the mouse until your circle coincides with the field of view of your sketch and release the mouse button. Oh, I've forgotten something important. Before making the circle selection, define a certain amount of feathering. I make my sketches 2300 pixels wide, and for me a feathering of 30 pixels is perfect, but you may have to experiment a bit to find a value that works best for you. What does feathering do? Here's a field of view without feathering. Look how sharp the edge is. Personally, I don't think that's very realistic. This, on the other hand, is a field of view with some feathering at the edge. See that the edge looks a bit blurred, just as happens in a telescope. So, back to our selection. Now I'm going to invert the selection, hence select everything outside the circle. Go to Select and then Inverse. There. Now I'm going to select black color in the color selection tool and take the paint bucket. This will fill the entire selected area with black paint. Like this. Do you see the soft edge because of the feathering we used? Note that, since we've drawn this mask on a new layer, the sketch below is still completely intact and we can still do whatever we like with the original sketch. Next, we're going to create a specific background layer. Some sketches don't do this, but personally I find it very useful because it allows you to modify the background without changing something else as well. Drag this layer to the bottom so that it lies behind all the rest. For the background, I select a dark greyish colour, sometimes with a touch of blue in it. It depends on your personal taste, but as I said, you can easily modify this colour afterwards should you want to do so. With the paint bucket, fill the entire background layer. There. It doesn't show as such because currently the object layer is still hiding it, but if you hide the object layer, click on the little eye, and there it is, our background. Finally, we're going to create a fourth layer for the stars. Even when you're Michelangelo, in the cold, in the dark and in the middle of the night, no one can draw perfect stars with a pencil. They usually look like strange blobs or something, so we're going to draw them all over again. This I will explain in the next video. So, I hope that everything's clear until now. In video number 5, I'm going to talk about how to draw very realistic stars on the computer. See you then!